All right, guys, we're going to start the program here shortly. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines. We're live on my Facebook page, J-Dubs. We are live on the group You Are Correct, J-Dubs. We are live on I Love CVille, You Are Correct, Judah. Thank you very much. Just confirming our feeds here. We go live to 15 different social media and podcasting platforms at once. We're live on Twitter, J-Dubs. Excellent work. Retweet the show, like the show. Help us spread the gospel if you could. Ginny Who, we appreciate you on the retweet. Thank you kindly, Ginny Who. We're live on YouTube. YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We want to grow that channel. That channel's been growing. We want to grow the YouTube channel. It's at youtube.com/VMV Brands. youtube.com/VMV Brands. V is in Virginia, M is in media, V is in Virginia, brands, plural. Subscribe to that channel, like and share the shows, help us spread the gospel. That would mean the absolute world for us. You can also search Jerry Miller now on YouTube and find us. I had a fantastic interview with Alvin Pierman this morning on the Jerry and Jerry Show. He's a professor at Stanford University. He joined us from his kitchen in Palo Alto this morning. A University of Virginia graduate, one of the best offensive players and running backs in UVA history, played in the National Football League, and now a professor at Stanford University. Just an absolutely amazing human being. If you missed that interview, watch it anywhere on social media. Watch it on YouTube. Watch it on jerryratcliffe.com, on ilovecville.com later today, wherever you get your podcasting content. Jim Ryan responds to the UVA Physicians Group 128 members who have asked that the CEO of UVA Health and the dean of the medical school step down. Demanded, I would say. Demand is a better word. That they lose their jobs. Yeah. Jim Ryan's responded, and local stakeholder Bill Crutchfield of his namesake Crutchfield Corporation also responded in a letter that he sent to many media outlets, a letter that was published in Virginia Business, also published on the Daily Progress website. The Jim Ryan brand seems to, and I'm choosing my words carefully, the Jim Ryan who arrived at Charlottesville on his early days on the job at the University of Virginia as president, and the Jim Ryan we have today are completely unrecognizable people, completely different people, polar opposites. We'll unpack that today. We can unpack that from a number of different ways, Judah. Like and share the show. Zocalo Restaurant has been sold. El Carbone has been sold. Another business acquisition in the hopper, guys, that we're excited to announce at the end of the month. So much to cover on today's program. So much to cover on the water cooler of Charlottesville. Judah, you ready to rock and roll?
I am.
All right. Give me 10 seconds. Let the viewers and listeners what you're most excited about today.
I'm excited about this continuing story from coming out of UVA. I think it's compelling, and we've got two very different he said, she said scenarios going on with the accusations from the unnamed letter signers and the responses very much denying any of the accusations coming from the president of UVA and the founder of Crutchfield.
Yeah, so much to cover here. All right, we can rock and roll when you're ready, please.
Quiet on the set.
Good Tuesday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille show. The story gains momentum. Jim Ryan now right in the middle of the circus. Bill Crutchfield now in the middle of the hullabaloo. The 128 members of the UVA Physicians Group, the ringleaders of the brouhaha, the CEO of UVA Health in the middle of the fracas, the dean of the medical school right in the middle of the backyard brawl. 128 members late last week signed an anonymous letter saying fraud, corruption, bullying, malpractice, running rampant at one of the top health systems in the nation. Since that letter has been released, we have now gotten responses from the focal points of the letter, the CEO of the health system and the dean of the medical school, and we've now gotten responses from President Jim Ryan and William Crutchfield, who has served on the University of Virginia Health Services Foundation from 1993 to 97, the UVA Board of Visitors from 97 to 2005, and the UVA Health System Board from 2018 to current, present, today, right now. Tomorrow, the Board of Visitors meet at the University of Virginia. They meet Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're going to unpack on today's program Jim Ryan's response from a public relations standpoint. We're going to unpack on today's program Jim Ryan, the embattled UVA president. This has been a challenging 4, 5, 6 months. Heck, I would make an argument this has been as challenging a position as a school president has been over the course of the last few years since the mass murder on grounds that took the lives of 3 football players on a bus returning from a DC field trip. Since that mass murder, we have seen the president smack dab in the center of a pro-Palestine protest where the state police was used as a militant militia. We have seen the suspension of the university guide service, the tour guides that give tours to prospective students and their parents. We have seen free speech become a topic for dartboards and news cycles. And now we have seen a letter that has captivated much of us in Central Virginia. The momentum of the story is gaining traction. And all of these are linked in some capacity to the man who on September 15th, 2017 was announced that he would replace Teresa Sullivan as the 9th president at the University of Virginia, inaugurated at the University of Virginia on October 19th, 2018. His first act was to announce that in-state undergraduates from families making less than $30,000 per year would receive scholarships covering tuition, room, and board, while those from families making less than $80,000 per year would receive full tuition scholarships. A man who built a brand that was humanized, localized, and personalized by running 5K races, marathon races, up and down on the eastern seaboard. A man who built a personal brand by jogging with students, encouraging them to meet him at the lawn at sunrise for a jaunt around Thomas Jefferson's University. Since Jim Ryan was named president, inaugurated on October 19th, 2018, we've seen the honor code watered down. A single sanction, institutional honor code that is undoubtedly woven in the fabric of the university's history, now an honor code of patience, empathy, and second chances, much to the disappointment of many alumni. We have seen since Jim Ryan was inaugurated on October 19th, 2018, the brand that is Thomas Jefferson, the founder, the president, one of the most significant individuals in United States history, his brand tarnished and disrespected, much to the disappointment of many in the alumni base, including those that lead the Jefferson Council, including its co-founder, Bert Ellis, who is on the Board of Visitors, the same board meeting tomorrow here in Charlottesville. We have seen since October 19, 2018, when Jim Ryan was inaugurated as president, the 9th one in university history, a mass murder, a pro-Palestine protest that resulted in unfair arrest and pepper spraying of students and faculty. We have seen freedom of speech questioned and certainly put in purgatory. We have seen the state police in crossfire with students and faculty, and now we see the man who looks tired, weathered and worn, having to issue statements on behalf of million-dollar-plus compensated individuals, backing their professional and personal reputations from the president's mansion. We're going to unpack it today. I'll ask you the question, Jim Ryan's statement, was it good public relations or was it public relations gone bad? I'll ask you today, Bill Crutchfield, why did he get in the mix? Why touch this with a 10-foot pole? I'll ask you today, the CEO of the health system and the dean of the medical school, their response to a letter anonymously signed by 128 members of the University Physicians Group, was it credible and legitimate, or was it lip service and watered down? I believe, as someone who started his career in news, that this is the beginning of a monumental story. I received a text message from a viewer and listener of this Fighting Fair talk show. I will respect this person's anonymity. Routinely listen to the program. This text message said, I listened to your podcast yesterday. A few years ago, I was charged $4,100 for a 3-via blood draw at the university. The insurance covered a large portion of it, $3,200, but I was on the hook for nearly $900. That same procedure cost me $10 to get done at my general practitioner. I disputed the bill and got nowhere with the billing department. A message like that is reflective or indicative of dozens of messages received from viewers and listeners about billing and the health system. I asked the question yesterday, are we on the cusp of a lawsuit from patients questioning fraudulent billing practices, class action lawsuit? Do I have that answer? No. Is it something that is curious and concerning? Yes. I want you, the viewer and listener, to help me pick apart President Ryan's statement. I have the letter in front of me. It is nearly a dozen paragraphs long. I'll ask you if you found President Ryan's statement empathetic, authentic, and compelling, or did you find it accusatory, demeaning, and threatening? A lot to cover on the Tuesday edition of the I Love CVille show. We'll go to the studio camera in a 2-shot. We have three headlines, I believe, four headlines to this that we can rotate on a lower third capacity. We'll welcome Judah Wickower to the program, director of this Fine and Fair talk show, a man whose voice has become accepted, welcomed, and embraced by the viewing and listening public. I ask you, Judah Wickower, Jim Ryan, the president of the University of Virginia, the man who starts in October of 2018, now nearly 6 years on the job. Is this the same Jim Ryan that started in Charlottesville and on ground 6 years ago? Do you recognize the ninth president of the University of Virginia today?
No, definitely not. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was looking for his golden parachute, or at the very least a sidestep to another school.
Yale University undergrad, law school, University of Virginia. A man who built his personal brand on jogging around grounds, marathon running in Boston and New York, championing the children's department while running in bibs for 26.2 miles. A guy who led an affordable housing charge or created an affordable housing group in the city and the county to help improve the stock of housing in our community, now finds himself in the crossfire on not just the pro-Palestine protest, not just the release of the report, the investigation with the 3 murdered Virginia football players, a report that still has not been released.
And likely won't be until after the trial.
I mean, and now maybe the most damning,
Possibly, yeah.
going to bat in very early stage for a health system that's in peril.
Yeah.
Why not wait? Why offer the statement this early in the news cycle? And what did you make of his statement?
The statement seemed dismissive, which I can kind of understand. If he really has been fielding requests and complaints, then maybe they have been dealing with this for a long time. And to him, this is just a continuation of the struggle with this. So, in a way, I can understand his tone, but on the other hand, it comes across as dismissive. It comes across as, almost.
Did you feel a sense of threatening?
I think you said tone deaf, because he dismisses the fact that it was only this many people, and that lines up with the number of people that are usually unhappy with their work environment, and so basically, paints this as just disaffection. But there are some serious accusations here, and the fact that they felt strongly enough to go public with it tells me that there's something more. And so this back and forth between the accusers and Bill Crutchfield and Jim Ryan is fascinating.
Number one in the family, Deep Throat, his photo on screen, he makes this comment. He says, "I think it's pretty funny, Judah, Jerry, viewers and listeners, that the standard of evidence for nearly expelling a person from the University of Virginia is Ziana Bryant heard that you had something to say about trucks running over protesters on Water Street. And
yeah.
Boom, a girl's career at UVA is over. But 128 physicians working on the floor of a hospital system make a specific allegation in writing and are willing to sign and reveal their names to the document. And the allegations are, how dare you?"
Yeah.
Ziana Bryant has since admitted maybe she heard incorrectly the fact that this former UVA student may have I may have misheard her. Maybe she didn't want us protesters on Water Street or at Black Women's Movement some years ago.
I don't know if Ziana even heard anything.
She heard. She eventually, how the story played out, she heard from somebody, and that person said, "Maybe I misheard."
Secondhand from someone else.
I heard from somebody else, and then Ziana utilized her Twitter influence to ruin the woman's life, and that woman's ruination included expulsion from the University of Virginia. In hindsight,
not full-on expulsion.
No, but the start. In hindsight, everything was debunked.
And I don't think the university ever went back on the false, not false, but the
genuinely apologized, and I believe she's got a lawsuit against the university for this, as she should.
Because they still haven't rescinded the what do you call it? The UJC's finding.
The same university who held degrees of students who protested in early May, utilizing their freedom of speech, kept them from graduating, held their degrees in limbo, kept them from going to their next phase of their careers, a job, is now the same university that is saying, hey, you 128 people that bleed for us, what you're saying is crap. You represent a very small percentage of the workforce. Every small percentage of a workforce is going to have disgruntled people, and all you are is just unhappy folks who like to complain.
And I have a particular problem with his labeling of their accusations as vague, as though they should be. I mean, I would think that if they were to come forward with evidence proving some of the allegations, they would probably be. They would probably have problems with HIPAA violations, because a lot of these sound like things that have happened with patients' files, and obviously they can't come out with those files or point to things that were mischarged or otherwise fraudulently messed with, as they've alleged. So it's strange that he would use the words that he did. I would think that we would want, an investigation, and I would hope that it would be transparent.
Logan Wells Claylow, Vanessa Parkhill, Lord and Ivy, thank you for watching the program. Kevin Yancey in Waynesboro watching the program. Ginny Who says, bam, Deep Throat just nailed it with the Ziana Bryant comparison.
Mm-hmm.
John Blair on LinkedIn, viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Jim Ryans, PR, tone deaf or authentic? This is the next evolution of the story. The next evolution of the story is the 128 signees need to, A, announce who they are to the mass public. Will they do that? I don't know. But if they do that, and some of the members of the 128 are heavy hitters, the story gains monumental momentum. Second evolution of the story. What if more than 128 join? If that number grows? If it eclipses 200? If it gets to 250? It eclipses 300? And the percentage from the University Physicians Group, which is what, 950 to 1,000 people, it goes from 12, 13% to 20%. Starts flirting with a quarter of the UPG. If that happens, the story, momentum. Right now, this is the strategy from the University of Virginia. Shower or drown the story with performance praise. These are the rankings we're getting. These are the metrics we have. This is the success stories we've had. Just drown the news cycle with performance praise. One strategy. Strategy two, diminish, demean, marginalize the 128 that anonymously signed. Make them feel small and inconsequential.
Especially if you can't actually come up with any of these dozens and dozens of letters and emails pouring in to President Ryan about people who are disputing the letter.
John Blair watching the program. Jerry, I cannot agree with Judah more. I have dealt with employment law issues my entire career. I can tell you this. If it's one or two employees in a large organization complaining, you could potentially have sour grapes. 5 or 10, there's probably a managerial problem that may be as innocuous as bad temperament. But 128? I'm sorry, that's way too many people to disregard as frivolous complaint. You do not get that many people willing to sign a letter unless there is a problem. What's the problem? I don't know. That's what an investigation will reveal. But I am pretty disappointed with the responses. This is not sour grapes or disgruntled people or somebody who did not get a promotion. The response should be short and sweet. I will work with the BOV to determine the best investigatory course to move forward with these allegations. That's it.
Yeah.
That's called good PR. Good PR is 128 people have voiced that there is a problem that is malpractice, backroom dealing, corruption, and intimidation leadership. We take these allegations incredibly seriously. We will investigate them. This is something that is very important to us. Instead, the PR attempt that was utilized by the president's office was, let's diminish, let's demean, let's marginalize, let's make them feel small, let's make them feel inconsequential and invaluable. And if we do that, then the public is just going to chalk this up to some sour grapes and some people bitching and moaning. And maybe with a new story that comes up, this story is forgotten and is disregarded. That is effing bananas to me. And why it's effing bananas to me is because they're alleging the scummiest of the scum when it comes to medicine. Kate Schartz, the Queen of Ivy, watching the program right now. It's hard to email the entire UVA staff and get support while trying to compose a complaint like that. I'm guessing that if they could have been completely open, they would get many more signatures. The people who signed this letter had to coordinate this privately, and I'm impressed they got that many signatures while trying to keep it private as it was drafted. Fantastic take from Kate Schartz. It's a fantastic take.
Yeah. It's not like this was sent out across the entire UVA health system.
It's not like they said, let's go to our listserv, let's reply all to the email we got yesterday that said Chick-fil-A was being delivered to the hospital, free Chick-fil-A sauce, waffle fries, and nuggets for all. Oh, let me reply all to that. You guys want to sign an email that says that there's billing fraud and malpractice and leadership corruption and bullying tactics going on? Just reply all and say yes, please. And come by for some Chick-fil-A nuggets while you're at it. Don't forget the sauce. I love to drown my nuggets in that sauce.
That's how you get signatures.
Sign a letter that calls our leader, our CEO, that's making $1.6 million, the highest paid guy at the university, the third highest paid employee at the university, fourth highest paid employee at the university. Come over, sign this document. Hey, you can digitally sign it. And when you're done, have a vanilla milkshake from Chick-fil-A on us. Just like I did when I ran lower school class president and won. I used lollipops and Reese's Pieces to garner votes. Do you recognize Jim Ryan? Today's Jim Ryan versus October 2018 Jim Ryan when he was inaugurated.
I think now he seems like someone who's just phoning it in until he can get the hell out. I mean, I'd be trying to get out. It seems like he may have a contentious relationship with Youngkin and the Board of Visitors.
100%.
With all of the press that's been piling up around him, man, it's got to be there's got to be a lot of weight on his shoulders. I would not want to be him.
I mean, or do people say that's why you get paid nearly $1 million and get free housing?
Well,
All the perks and pomp and circumstance. This is why you get the dollar bills, y'all.
no, I know.
Right?
Money will only take you so far, though.
$4.3 million, $4.5 million for Tony Elliott and Tony Bennett. Why do Tony Elliott and Tony Bennett get that much money? Because that job ain't easy. That's why you got to have so much respect for the people that do local government. Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, Charlottesville City Council. Half the community vehemently hates your guts. The other half don't even care about you at all. They're apathetic toward you. And you're doing it all for $17,000 a year for the Board of Supervisors, $20,000 if you're the mayor of the city, $18,000 if you're just a regular city councilor.
Yeah.
Think about it. Why Bill Crutchfield jump in the mix?
I mean, he says at the beginning of his letter
Are you surprised
that
that he jumped in the mix?
I mean, he says he's been a part of a bunch of
I mean, I can give you his accolades. University of Virginia Health Services Foundation Board, 93 to 97. UVA Board of Visitors, heavy hitter, BOV here. Appointed by a governor here, 97 to 2005. UVA Health System Board, 2018 to present, on the actual health system board.
Yeah.
Going to bat for the people in the crossfire. Not going to bat for the average Joe or the average Sally. Instead, going to bat for the $1 million man.
I think the thing here is that while he may be on the health board or whatever it is, he's not there in the thick of it. Nor is Jim Ryan, and so
Definitely not.
I believe it would be it's fairly easy for these people to potentially, because these are still allegations, we don't have any proof of anything, but it's easy for them to to overlook things because they're not in the thick of it like the doctors and the nurses and the other people working in the health system. And so a lot of these allegations, a lot of what's going on could be fairly fairly hidden from anyone outside the system.
Ginny Hu watching the program. It's the same tactics the federal government uses on whistleblowers. Dismiss, defame, deplatform.
Yeah.
Same tactics.
Mm-hmm.
Dismiss, defame, deplatform.
Yeah.
Calling the state police to use pepper spray and disband a pro-Palestine protest versus going head-to-head with 128 physicians from the UVA Physicians Group. If he's proven to be on the wrong side of this battle, Jim Ryan, and the 128 physicians get 200 signatures, more signatures, and are proven to be correct, which Jim Ryan position was most damning? Military, state police, to break up a peaceful protest, pepper spray, or being wrong with this fraud, malpractice, leadership corruption story at UVA Health?
I would say this one.
Yeah.
Because I don't
And
know.
that really effing says something. If it's this one over using the state police as a military to pepper spray students.
Well, I don't know how most people see that, but that didn't feel like Jim Ryan to me.
Dude, that's what my take was all along on this program, and you vehemently disagreed with me out of the gates about that. My take from day one after that protest, I was here on Monday morning, first one saying, this is not Jim Ryan, and you held me accountable and tried to take me behind the woodshed with a verbal reprimand by saying, you're alleging corruption and conspiracy theories, and now you're saying maybe you were right, Jerry.
You very well could be. I reserve the right to change my mind at any time.
I respect that. You certainly do. because you knew that a man who jogs around grounds and encourages students to come to grounds at sunrise to join him, and a man who runs marathons for the Children's Hospital, and a man that forms volunteer committees to create affordable housing options for folks in this community, and a man that is based a brand and a reputation on being likable. The sleeves up Jim Ryan. Roll your sleeves up. You have your tie at half-mast. During COVID and the pandemic, was doing commentary, State of the Union for the University of Virginia, while leaning very approachably in the front of his desk at his president's office, coming across as likable, approachable, humanized, personalized.
As more and more information about the state police and the protesters came out, the less it made sense that Jim Ryan just decided on a Saturday morning to call
Let's
the
pepper
state
spray
police
some
in.
teenagers.
Yeah.
Let's use some shields and some militant force and some tear gas to disband a peaceful protest right next to the UVA chapel, right across the street from the Little Johns and the Virginian.
Yeah.
That won him, but it's branded as him.
Well, ultimately, the person in charge has to take responsibility, whether they're at fault or not.
We'll follow it. The next evolutions of the story are as follows. Do more physicians sign the letter? If so, story gains momentum. Will the 128 reveal to the mass public who they are? If so, the story gains momentum. If members of that 128 are heavy hitters, the story gains momentum. If any kind of attorneys get in the mix, whether representing the 128, I'm no legal guy here. Deep Throat, he fits that. He said, I'm telling you this, if I were a lawyer, I'd be trying to find these 128, and I would try to get a qui tam suit going? Defrauding Medicare is big bucks for a whistleblower if you win the case. I think you could get 15 to 30% of the amount of the fraud. Couldn't tell you much about that without doing any research on the fly, but I know the man who's offering the commentary is a voice of reason and experience.
No doubt.
And the last way this story gains momentum is tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday when the Board of Visitors are in session, if they call some kind of policy or investigation of their own. If the BOV Wednesday, Thursday, Friday comes out of session saying we need an investigation of what's going on, that's a massive story.
Oh yeah, I think the fact that that Bill Crutchfield commented
Bill Crutchfield
is already giving this momentum, and the way Jim Ryan responded is giving it momentum. If they had just come out and said, "Hey, these are some serious accusations. We are 100% looking into these," it could have been just a quick statement, and I think people would have been mollified, at least for the time being. But instead, you come out, claiming that this is crazy and it's only 128 people, and it sounds like a lot of deflection and smoke and mirrors, and that doesn't help, and it just makes people want to get more information on how this is going to turn out.
Exactly. You're on point today. Exactly. A few other items out of the notebook at the 1:10 marker of the Tuesday edition of the I Love CVille show. Put the other lower third on screen. I can't believe I'm about to say this headline, Judah. Yesterday around dinner time, while it was still daylight out in the city of Charlottesville, right outside one of my favorite places in the city, yes, a brewery, imagine that, Three Notch Brewing Company, there were masked gunmen running through the streets of Charlottesville, an incredibly populated place, shooting off rounds of ammunition at each other as if they were playing dodgeball on the playground. But instead of a rubber bouncy ball, They're ripping rounds of gunfire while wearing masks and running after each other. Some kind of mix of the OK Corral meets Al Qaeda. What the hell is going on here? Then you look at the police blotter and you see that that's the start of gunfire all over the city throughout the night.
Yeah.
10th and Page neighborhood, Preston, Belmont, downtown. Reports of gunfire all over the city. Clearly some kind of turf war going on.
Yeah.
And whether we want to admit this or not, much of what is happening around CRHA, Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority locations. It's Minuteman Monday. You're sipping your pint for $3. You walk out and you see some masked dudes with guns running after each other, shooting each other before nightfall, during the day.
Yeah.
Judah, talk to me here.
It's, what do they say? Crazier than fiction?
This is crazier. John Blair to Deep Throat. The Federal False Claims Act allows whistleblowers to recover 30% of the money if the government does not join the suit. If the government joins the suit, they get between 15 to 25% of the money. Dude. My mother-in-law texted my wife and I, said, look at your son's hospital bill very closely. From the clogged tear duct surgery he had a couple of weeks ago, a surgery that cost north roughly $11,000. We went out of pocket $4,000 and change after catastrophic insurance coverage. She said, look at that bill very closely. Something smells fishy. Any viewer and listener that's had any kind of procedure done by the health system should look at their bill very closely. Back to the masked gunmen shooting at each other during daytime hours outside of a family park. A story that gained momentum as the turf war went from Belmont to Preston to 10th and Page. What the hell is going on here?
I don't know. I'm just thankful that nobody was hit in the crossfire. I read that a lot of cars were hit, and I also read that there were kids playing at X Park at the time these guys were running through.
Yeah.
So, praise the Lord that that especially no kids were hurt, but that no bystanders were caught by this.
Oof. I've said this before, when the same pockets of Charlottesville are perpetually peppered with crossfire, the historically crime-ridden pockets, the story sadly is a non-story. When violence is compartmentalized to the same neighborhoods at cities across the country, the story is a non-story because media and citizens and government and taxpayers just say, oh, it's the same folks doing the same things. But when it starts going from the same neighborhoods with the same pocket of violence to creeping into family, shopping, commerce, retail, and the stomping grounds and playgrounds of everyday Joes and Sallys, then the story becomes news cycle and momentum driven.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at right now. I'd like to see a potential press conference in quick action from a police chief that has done some pretty fantastic work in this city since he's taken the job.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think it should be noted that this I don't know how much of a I don't know how aware the police were that something like this might be going on, but oftentimes gun violence is sadly hard to predict.
Incredibly difficult to predict.
Yeah, you can't just you don't.
It's
know
not like they're playing stickball in the same street
right.
every day before dinner time, waiting for the dinner bell to be rung. It's erratic.
Yeah.
Vanessa Parkhill says, we can look at our medical billing closely, but do most of us even know what we're looking at or have the knowledge to challenge the line items? Medical billing usually lags quite a bit behind when the procedures happen, and there is a ton of nuance behind the ICD coding.
Yeah.
Well said, VP.
Mm-hmm.
Well said, Vanessa Parkhill. Let's hope the gun violence story is something of the past.
Yeah.
But masked gunmen during twilight, okay corralling it when there's kids and shoppers and beer drinkers outside of the OK Corral? Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, 2 other restaurant items to get to. We've had this story for some time, months. Ivan Rekosh, friend of the program, one of the co-founders of Zocalo Restaurant. Zocalo was founded by Peter Castiglione, Ivan Rekosh, and Andrew Silver. Peter Castiglione, now their sole owner of Maya Restaurant on West Main Street. Peter Castiglione co-founded Maya Restaurant with Christian Kelly, friend of the program. All these guys, friends of the program. Christian Kelly's daughter named Maya. Christian and Peter opened Maya after Peter parted ways with Andrew Silver and Ivan Rekosh, his co-founders of Zocalo. Zocalo is one of the most institutional restaurants in the city, and Ivan Rekosh has been there from day one. He has passed the torch at Zocalo Restaurant. The restaurant game, not a game for everyone, folks. I mean, it is tough sledding in 2024 to run a restaurant. It's tough sledding because the consumer is so quick to write nastiness on review sites as opposed to just communicating with the owner of the restaurant, hey, this was my experience. I wanted you to know about it. Maybe you could make this change. Instead, we put restaurants on blast.
Yeah.
You got beef with an experience at a restaurant? Don't put it on Yelp. Don't blast them on social media. Don't try to tank and ruin the brand.
Especially if you haven't even talked to anyone about it.
Go talk to the owner or the manager and say, this is my experience. And oftentimes you'll find you'll be given a second chance where they'll be like, we want to invite you back, maybe at a discounted rate, maybe at a pro bono rate. And we want to prove to you that was not us. The restaurant game, not a game for young people, not a game for those that have been around the block anymore. It's a young person's game. And the new owner, the talented Will Miguel, he says much of Zocalo is going to stay the same. That was the genius of Zocalo in a lot of ways. You knew what to expect. They did the same 2 dozen menu items extremely well, and they didn't change from it.
Yeah.
They didn't change from it. You went in, you had your favorite dishes, they tasted and were prepared the same way every time. You knew what to expect, and it was executed under that level of expectation.
Right.
That was the genius of Zocalo. That is the genius of Zocalo. Andrew now lives in Texas, one of the co-founders. Heard word on the street is he's a fantastic pickleball player. Peter Castiglione, just a few miles down from where he helped open Zocalo, now at Maya Restaurant is the sole owner. And Ivan, the lone founding partner, has now sold and passed the stake to a talented up-and-comer, Will Miguel. And speaking of restaurant news, El Carbone makes the announcement that they have sold their 29 North location in the Woodbrook Shopping Center. El Carbone and Miriam Hernandez and her family, they do food the right way, much like Zocalo. Really good food, priced fairly, served efficiently, served deliciously. She sold her Woodbrook Shopping Center to concentrate on her Fifth Street station position. I would not be surprised if El Carbone has a mindset of scaling. The Fifth Street station position is a position that could be scaled to other locations, other iterations. The lease was coming up at Woodbrook. They said, we're going to hunker down on Fifth Street station and we're going to focus on this. We may try to grow the brand and the footprint you see right here. And then the last item I want to put as you're rotating those lower thirds, this Virginia football team has Maryland on Saturday at Scott Stadium. 8 o'clock kickoff. The Terrapins a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under at 54.5. If Virginia wins this football game, they start 3-0 with Coastal Carolina in week 4. Very easily could be 4-0. Ladies and gentlemen, Virginia football. Tony Elliott has a press conference today. It's been a long time since they started the season 3-0. 2019, the 2019 campaign, when they won the Coastal Division the last time. Potentially something special brewing here. Judah Wickower and Jerry Miller, the Tuesday edition of the I Love Seville show, presented by Pro Renata Brewery and Mexicali Restaurant. If you have yet to try Mexicali Restaurant on West Main Street, you're missing a fantastic dining experience with 50 parking spots that are free on site right at the bottom of the building, the Flats, that just celebrated its 10-year anniversary. A building built by Corin and Riverbend Development, a building now owned by an out-of-market firm. Mexicali Restaurant guys on West Main Street in the old World of Beer location, out of this world. And speaking out of this world, for 2 consecutive weekends, my wife, my family, and I, and some of our friends have visited Pro Renata in Crozet. We've had pizza, we've had beers, the kids have played on the playground. It's just been a fantastic experience for parents as we're drinking beers and eating pizza, and for our kids as they're eating pizza, playing on the playground, and enjoying Move Through ice cream. Pro Renata, A-plus brand. I'll close with this comment. Jerry, please don't mention my name, but I think with respect to you, the UVA letter, I really don't think that people, Jim Ryan et al., realize that the fear of retaliation is very real and palpable. I worked there for 20 years, and about 20 colleagues and I had meetings with everyone possible while remaining under the radar to bring very bad and unjust behavior to light. I was asked by the CNO at the end of the meeting whether I wanted her to bring the issues up to the bad actors at that time or wait until I left because my remaining time would be miserable. Not that it wasn't already. Oddly enough, I appreciated her willingness to protect me, but this just shows that the retaliation is very real. Yeah. These people signing the letter have livelihoods like I do, and there is really not a huge opportunity to have the same level of practice around here as there is no other academic medical center nearby besides VCU. And as Deep Throat said, this is what happens when you have a company town, when there's no other employers that provide this type of work. You keep your head down, you walk around in fear, and you toe the company line. If else, your ass is on the streets and you're commuting 60, 70 miles for your job. So long, everybody.